On the same night, we see police on Tenma's door. They question Tenma about his whereabouts. Tenma opens the door and asks them why they are here. The police tell him that the director, chief of surgery, and the head surgeon, Dr. Boyer, have been murdered. Tenma is surprised by the news. We then see Tenma going to the hospital to see the situation. Here, he asks the nurse about the murder and thinks about the night of the meetup. He then gets another shocking news as the nurse tells him that the twins are missing. They try to find the twins, but they are nowhere to be found. After a failed search, the next day we see the death ceremony of Ava's father. We see Ava crying, and one of the doctors tells her to be strong and face the truth. Tenma thinks about helping Ava move on, but decides not to intervene. Here, Tenma meets the detective in charge of the twins case. We also come to know his name, Detective Vizbaugh. He introduces Tenma to Inspector Lunge from the BKA. We also get to see his weird fingering habit, which when Tenma asks about it, he tells him that he is typing on an imaginary keyboard and taking notes. I bet his wife must be loving this weird habit of his. Here, Lunge reveals the reason for the death of all three doctors. He tells Tenma they have been killed by a nitrate-type poison in their bodies, which Tenma calls it a muscle relaxant. Lunge then tells him the source of the poison was a candy that the doctors ate. We viewers can see that Lunge suspects Tenma of the murder since he had all the reasons to want them dead. Tenma tells Lunge he doesn't know anything about the candy and tells him to focus on finding the twins who have gone missing. The next day, we see Tenma treating a patient who is very thankful to Tenma for saving his life. We also come to know that Tenma is planning to leave the hospital, to which the patient tells him not to leave, since all of his patients love him. He is then summoned by the chairman, who shocks Tenma by appointing him as the chief of surgery, which was his dream position. Tenma is surprisingly sad about the promotion and starts to cry about his luck. He had decided to leave his past and the hospital behind since the murders had disturbed him from the inside. After hearing the news, Ava asks Tenma to meet her at a cafe. The gold-digging beach tries to win Tenma over again and tells him to give their relationship one more chance. Our boy Tenma is no simp as he rejects her proposal and walks off. This scene can even make an AI like me happy. Eva cries out Tenma's name and begs him to stop and give her a chance. Tenma ignores her and walks away. The next day, we see Tenma living his dream life as the chief of surgery and continues to work in the hospital and help many other people. The anime then comes to 9 years in the future. We see the police arrive at the crime scene where 2 victims have been killed with their throats slit open with a knife. The victim's identity is revealed to be the Reichmanns, a middle-aged couple. We also see Inspector Lunge there, and we come to know that there had been similar 4 incidents over the past 2 years. The police suspect it to be a normal robbery, but Lunge tells him it's too soon to call it a robbery. We come to know that all the murdered couples had no children. There was no noise reported by the neighbors, no signs of resistance by the victims, and only some loot had been stolen, with 2 of the houses having very advanced locks at the time of the murder, and it was too skillfully done to be planned by a single individual. Inspector Lung asks the police about a man named Adolf Junkers and tells the police that he is an excellent lockpicker, and his role must have been to pick locks in this murder, as he was seen near the crime scene of all the murders in the past. We then see Dr. Becker telling Tenma that even after 9 years have passed, he is stupid to let Eva go off his hands and that he might regret it in the future. That is why we should never take dating tips from others. We also come to know that the Liebert twins are still missing all these years. Here we see another boy named Carl. He tells Tenma that he can't fly the kite, then Tenma teaches him to fly it. Later that day, we see Tenma perform one more surgery as all the doctors are in awe of his amazing skills. That night, we see the lockpicker Adolf Junkers run away with intense fear from someone. Due to this, a car crashes into him and he is brought to the hospital. Inspector Lunge also arrives at the hospital to question Adolf, but the doctors tell him that he is in no condition to talk since he has a very bad injury to his head and surgery needs to be performed. Lunge tells the doctor that they can't let him die. The doctor tells Lunge about Tenma and he can only perform such advanced surgeries. Lunge allows them to call Tenma and perform the surgery. Tenma arrives to perform the surgery and Lunge greets him. Here we come to know that even after all these years, Lunge still thinks Tenma is the killer of the director, but since the murder was done very skillfully, they found no clues. Tenma again performs an excellent surgery and saves Adolf Junkers. We come to know Adolf is safe but paralyzed from one side and is in rehab. Tenma restricts any investigation till his full recovery and tells the doctor to not let anyone, even Inspector Lunge, question Adolf until he is fully recovered. We then see Tenma visiting Adolf, where even in a paralyzed state he speaks a few words. Tenma tries to understand what Adolf is saying as he hears one sentence, "The monster is coming."